G'day everybody, how are you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope you are super well. Well, in this video, we're going to be talking finance. We're going to be talking about how the Z9 was a very powerful tool in Nikon's financial arsenal, along with all of the extraordinary lenses which were put out in the previous 12-month financial year period. Also, we're going to talk about how Nikon continues to kick goals with this little unit right here. This is the Nikon Z8. And well, I don't need to say any more. Just get it in your hands, give it a run for 5 or 10 minutes, and it'll talk to you all by itself. You can make up your own mind, that's absolutely for sure. In this video, we're going to talk about the fact that Nikon is making profits, more profit, revenue, more revenue, and how the outlook looks equally strong. Also, you will see that research and development from Nikon in the imaging division is not only the same, but it's going to be a little bit higher. And I ask you the question, if it's going to be a little bit higher, they've created the Z9, they've created the Z8, what more do they need to spend money on? Well, it's super exciting to see that they are not resting. They're spending more, they're doing more, they're creating more. So what will be next? Who knows? But they are creating some of the most exciting glass on the planet. And I think with the Z9 and the Z8, I think we can all agree these are extraordinarily powerful and compelling products that deliver. At the end of the day, it's about delivering to photographers, whether you're a professional or a hobbyist, it just simply doesn't matter. They are delivering to us tools which allow us to create in so many different places, at so many different times, in so many different ways. And the barriers to that creation just keep being lowered. So it doesn't really matter if you're a birder, there's something for you in the Z9 or the Z8. If you're a cinematographer, there's something for you in the Z9 or the Z8. And if you're just an everyday photographer like me who likes to shoot out in the streets in the middle of the night and do it handheld and super slow, well, you've got this astonishing in-body image stabilization unit along with crazy lenses like the 50mm 1.2 and the 85mm 1.2. And on and on. You can be a studio photographer, you can be landscape, you can be wildlife, you can be sports. There are lenses and technology which satiate all needs. There is not too many places left. I'm sure there are a few still left, but golly gosh, in those two cameras, we have price points and capabilities which are extraordinary. So let's talk about the financials. We'll talk about that more in this video, along with the fact that there was an interview with a Nikon executive talking about Cine lenses. That's pretty interesting. All that and more. Join me. In an interview on the Amateur Photographer website with Nigel Atherton, he asks Nikon's Mr. Oishi, when trying to attract a video audience, a challenge for Nikon is the lack of dedicated video lenses. There are a lot of companies such as Sigma making dedicated Cine lenses, and it wouldn't take Nikon a very long time to create its own range of Cine lenses. And here is the very interesting answer. There are currently no specific lenses for shooting movies in the range right now, but the Nikon lineup has many lenses that have a very good feature set for video. We are looking at the possibility of introducing video-specific lenses. Let me say that again. We are looking at the possibility of introducing video-specific lenses based on the market needs and currently studying this area. It sounds very exciting, and let's just hope it happens. Also, if you've missed it, because it happened the day before or the day after the Z8 was announced, is that the ZFC has had a minor update, added support for iOS edition of NX Mobile Air, use NX Mobile Air version 1.13 or later, added support for the MCN10 remote grips, added support for the power zoom feature available on some lenses, and of course we've got the brand new PZ. I really like that little lens. And also focus point selection for self-portrait mode using an ML-L7 has been improved, the little infrared remote control. This is a nice little update bringing real usability to the ZFC. Download it now and keep your cam up to date. And also, let's not forget, this Friday, the Z8 is shipping. We're going to have thousands of units flooding the world. I cannot wait to see what everybody thinks. Please let me know in the comments below. Are you getting one? And what do you think so far? The end of financial year results
year ended March 31st, 2023. This was published on the 11th of May, so not that long ago, but yeah, we're a little bit behind. Profit. That's the short version. If that's all you want to know, move on to the next section. There's a lot of interesting information in this document. If you want to take a look at it, I will post a link in the show notes. And first, we have revenue of 628.1 billion yen. So 628 billion yen is about $4.5 billion US dollars. That is Nikon's revenue for the financial year ending March 31st, 2023. It's a nice number. It's a lot of money. This is a multi-billion-dollar business, as we've talked about before. But let's not forget that Canon is, I think, something like 30 to 40 billion. Sony is like 60, 70, 80 billion. Nikon is a much smaller company, and it really does punch above its weight. And with the release of the Z9 and the Z8, I think it's really pushing the envelope when it comes to delivering on its imaging unit. We can see here it has an operating profit of 54.9 billion yen. Now that's a profit just shy of 400 million US dollars. A profit of 400 million US dollars. Absolutely fantastic. And just focusing on revenue overall, we can see here that in the imaging products business, revenue grew on higher ASP due to the weaker yen and the shift to mid-high-end models. And here it is. Here's the actual numbers as a whole. We can see the forecast here was for 630 billion yen. Ended up being 628.1 billion yen. They were forecasting a profit here of 55 billion yen, but it came in at 54.9 billion yen. And we can see the previous year, it was a revenue of 539.6. So we can see last year's profit in the imaging unit was 19 billion yen, and it's now 42.2 billion yen for the imaging unit. So if we convert the revenue of 227 billion yen, we get about 1.65 billion US dollars just from the imaging unit, and this is selling lenses and cameras. I'm not sure if it includes binoculars and sights and other things like that. Some points they're making here is parts procurement constraints were resolved and the market for digital cameras, interchangeable lens type, grew. Also, Nikon advanced its shift to mirrorless cameras and interchangeable lenses for mirrorless cameras. Focused on mid to high-end cameras targeting pro hobbyists, and the average sale price, the ASP, grew. So obviously Z9 is, in the mirrorless range of cameras for Nikon, the highest. Revenue grew with help also from a weaker yen. Operating profit was 42.2 billion yen, up from the previous year where it was 19 billion yen. And this is just over $300 million worth of profit for the imaging unit alone. Absolutely fantastic. We've got a forecast for next year, which is pretty exciting. Revenue of 665 billion yen and expecting an operating profit of 43 billion yen. And let's have a look at where this revenue is expected to come from. The imaging products business revenue to grow on increased sales volumes of mirrorless cameras. So Nikon in this year are expecting to sell more cameras. And indeed, this is now the year, this forecast is the year of the Z8. And there's absolutely no question in my mind, Nikon will sell more Z8s than Z9s, significantly more. That is my prediction. The imaging products business to maintain high margins even as market normalization and dissipating effects of a weaker yen drive profits lower. Nikon has been able to have higher profits because the yen has been weaker. If the yen was to stay where it has been, it's possible that this operating profit number here would actually be higher in this financial year. This is the financial year we're actually physically currently in. This is what they're predicting. Let's have a look at the forecast for the imaging unit specifically. So revenue is actually going to go up from 227 to 240 billion yen. Operating profit's actually going to go down. Now, that's not a bad thing. It just means not quite as much profit. And they go on to explain why that's going to happen. And some of it is to do with more marketing. And that's really exciting to see more marketing going on for Nikon's imaging products business. Revenue that's going to be up by 12 billion yen. Forecast continued contraction in entry-level models in the market for digital camera interchangeable lens type. Nikon will continue its focus on shifting towards mid to high-end cameras. Expect increased sales volumes of mirrorless cameras and interchangeable lenses for mirrorless cameras with the launch of new products such as the Z8. What that says to me is there's going to be more than just the Z8. Now, of course, that could just mean lenses, revenue to grow on improved product mix and higher ASP, average selling price. Why are our profits down a little bit? They're just down a little bit. There's still profits, don't worry. Profit to decline on increased expenses such as higher sales promotion expenses in response to the resolution of parts procurement constraints and market normalization. Also, they are projecting the benefits of the weaker yen to dissipate. Expecting operating margin in the 15% range, which beats assumptions in our medium-term management plan. And if we have a look here, we can see if they break this current financial year into the two halves, what we can see here is they're expecting the two halves to be pretty similar. So what that says to me is new products are going to be continuing to roll out steadily in order to support those very even sales figures. So I suppose that means more cameras, more lenses. Another thing I like to look at is the market breakdown, and we can see here that the imaging products division, based on the amount of revenue it provides to Nikon as a whole, was 33% in the previous financial year, and it's 36% in the current year that we're in. And that's pretty amazing that a division that some would have had you believe no more than 2 years ago wouldn't even exist, wasn't even viable, wasn't even competitive, and here it is actually the largest division for Nikon, making up over 1/3 of the company's entire revenue. And then if we look at the regions, well, you know, these numbers are always changing, but it's interesting to see that Japan alone is 20%, China is 21%, Europe 17%, the United States a whole quarter, 25%, and then the rest of the world, which includes where I am, is only 17%. Now, that is a massive region. It covers so many places, yet it's the smallest here along with Europe. And clearly, Japan, China, and the USA are just three such absolutely massive markets. Now, I'm guessing United States includes Canada. We can see here that in China, the drop has been quite significant. It used to be 28%, now it's down to 21%. And Japan has gone from 18 to 20%. USA has gone from 24 to 25, so more people buying Nikon products. You can see here in dollar terms, it's gone from 129 to 159 billion yen. So that is an increase, and I would say we're seeing that in the Z9. What I would say has gone on in China is less people buy a camera like a Z9. And that's why we're seeing that differential. Same in really the rest of the world. All of the rest of the world has gone up significantly except for China. And I reckon that's based around the Z9 and all of the big lenses that we saw come out in the last financial year. All those very expensive lenses. That's a very interesting piece of data from my perspective. Now, R&D. We love R&D, and it's very exciting to see that R&D expenditure continues to be consistent, and Nikon are actually going to spend more money on R&D in this current financial year. They're going to be spending 19 billion yen just in the imaging unit. So that's awesome. This is overall expenditure, so it's not the imaging unit specifically. R&D's gone down a little bit, but if we look over in some of these areas, R&D has dropped, for example, but it has not dropped in the imaging products unit. Okay, well that's that report, and what this shows is Nikon's in great shape. They're continuing to spend money, they're making profits, they're expecting more products to come out. It's all very exciting. we'll have a quick look at the progress report on medium-term management plan FY 2022 to 2025. And one of the key takeaways I wanted to get out of this document was this statistic here from Nikon, which is the Z9, the first flagship mirrorless camera, has had the highest first-year volumes among all flagship models released in the past 15 years. And that the camera has continued to evolve post-launch with firmware upgrades to enhance functionality. And here is just a point that we've talked about again and again. These are just interesting points to come out of this document, that mirrorless Z8, and then they say, plan to introduce advanced Z9 features across the lineup. Strengthen competitiveness of the Z mount system overall. So this unquestionably says to me, not only do we have the Z9 and now the Z8, but there is most definitely more coming. So let's talk about the progress in year one of the plan. And we can see mirrorless cameras make up 80+% of sales. The goal is to expand. Now, interchangeable lenses, very interesting. Once again, expand lineup for mirrorless cameras to 36 lenses and to grow to 50 plus lenses in FY year 25. I think that means we're going to have another 15 or so lenses in the next 2 years. And that's pretty cool.
Well, super duper exciting results for the previous financial year, and the year that we're now in, ending in just over 10 months' time, or around 10 months' time, is going to be deeply impacted by this camera right here. This is the Nikon Z8. And what an amazing camera it is. I was out shooting with it and the Z9 the other night with the 50mm 1.2 and the 85 1.2, just shooting at night in the rain. You know I love it. And it's extraordinarily comfortable, powerful, and in, I would say, almost 99% of use cases, the Z9 and the Z8 experience will be very, very similar, if not the same. It's extraordinary. And refinances, this camera is going to deeply impact what happens in the year we are in now. And I'm confident it's going to be absolutely massive. So I suggest, if you have an opportunity to go down to a store or down to a roadshow, just get one of these in your hand. You don't need me to tell you how it feels. You tell yourself how it feels. But I can tell you that visceral, that ergonomic experience, that will talk to you. I'm quite confident. Anyway, I'd love to know in the comments below, what do you think about the finances? What lens would you be most excited to see next? Is it the 200 to 600? Is it the 35 1.2? I think it's a 1.2. Or what sort of fantasy lens would you like to see? Something like a 105 1.2. Could that be for you? Please let me know in the comments below what you think of that and everything else that's going on in the Nikon world. It's been so good to see you. And if this is your first time here, I would love to see you again, because we are going to talk so much more about this camera and what we can do with it. So do please subscribe. All right, please share, like, and I will see you soon. Take care and bye for now.